Welcome back to another episode of the Atypical Hunter Podcast. I'm Chris Begbie, and with me as always is a man who some say that when he looks into the sun, it's the sun that blinks first, the blinding Mr. Kyle Mork. On today's episode, Kyle is back from Texas where he took first place in Train to Hunt Texas. He shares what it's like to compete against some of the best hunter athletes out there and how important fitness is to today's hunter. So lace up your gym shoes and get ready to sweat. It's time for episode number 6. Kyle Mork, co-host of the Atypical Hunter Podcast, is back from Texas from a couple weeks ago. Came in first place in the Train to Hunt Texas event. Love to hear all about it, what went into it, what the event's like, all that sort of good stuff.
First and foremost, it was hot. I think it was over 100 degrees. But we were lucky because we had one of our teammates built kind of like a lean-to out of tarp and some paracord, so he got us out of the sun and into a little bit of the shade at least, because we were one of the last heats there. I think we were the 6th out of 7 heats that went off, so we waited quite a while.
So it was pretty hot at that point of the day.
Yeah, you were cooking, and there were no trees to hide under. You were out in the wide open Texas sun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it was a lot of fun, but I mean it was a good time.
So how long was the event?
2 days. So we flew down on Friday just to get everything together. The event started on Saturday, and then Saturday night there's like a little banquet dinner type of thing. And then Sunday was the 3D shoot and the award ceremony.
Very cool. Good experience?
Oh, it always is. This is my third one. So this is my second outdoor one and my third overall, because I did an indoor one during the wintertime, and every time it honestly just keeps getting better and better.
So what drew you into these initially?
So I started, if you talk about the whole fitness journey itself, I started training for Golden Gloves a few years back, and after the second time I broke my nose, my wife was like, you need to get...
Maybe stop getting hit in the face a little?
Yeah, either stop getting hit in the face or pick another sport to do. So at that time, she was training for the Chicago Marathon, and I was talking to my father-in-law, I'm like, I think maybe next year I'll do the Chicago Marathon. He just looked at me and goes, you should not do the marathon. He goes, you should try to do a triathlon. And at the time, we lived in the South Loop of Chicago, so it was where I would train was exactly where the event was held, which was awesome. So
swimming in Lake Michigan and everything.
Swimming in Lake Michigan and everything, yeah. And so during that training, I came across, and honestly, I have no idea how I came across it. I've been asked a few times before. I think it was just something that came up on one of the social media feeds. I came across Train to Hunt. I started clicking on it, and as soon as I got to the homepage, I was like, I'm doing that next year. I missed the events of that year. Otherwise, I probably would have done it, that year. But I ended up doing it. 2018 was my first event in Pennsylvania.
Cool. So what does it consist of? What is Train to Hunt?
So every year the events change a little bit, but this year the most recent one that we did, the outdoor, and what's considered a qualifier for nationals, is the first day is the challenge course and mountain course. Mountain course we use loosely because Texas doesn't necessarily have any mountains.
Ranges.
A lot of big mounds of dirt that's been moved from one place to another that we did have to run up, but no true mountain.
Gotcha.
Nonetheless, it was still a challenging course. So you'll do some type of 4 different types of exercises with a brute force bag, and the different weights depending on the age class. So
and plyo box too, right?
Yeah, over a plyo box, yeah. So and then you do the exercises over the plyo box. You're going to do a 300-yard jog, sprint, run, however you decide to pace yourself, and then you take approximately a 30-yard shot on a 3D target. Last year was a deer, much easier to shoot. This year was these effing bears that
standing
it's a standing little Yogi bear, so it's about 3 feet standing, but about what seemed to be about 6 inches wide. So there wasn't much.
Skinny little guys.
Yeah, skinny little bears. They're very malnourished bears.
Oh, I gotcha. And then you have to range those, or they're ranged for you initially?
So you range those before the course starts, before your heat starts.
So you know how far those are.
So you know how far those are. Once you're done with those 4 exercises and shots, then you'll throw on your pack with your respective weight. In my case, it was 50 pounds. 50 pounds for the plyo box, and then 50 pounds for the pack out run, or the mountain course. About a 2-mile loop. that you run, and during that 2 miles, you're going to take 2 shots of unknown ranges. So you'll have to range once you get up
Okay.
to it.
And they allow a rangefinder at that
For
point?
those, they do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that must be tough. I mean, I imagine you're going at a pretty good clip, and then all of a sudden you gotta stop, range, slow your breathing a little bit, and shoot accurately, and then get going again.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's got to be the hardest part.
You have to
of that.
practice slowing your heart rate down,
Right.
shooting under pressure, which is, it replicates buck fever, whatever you want to call it. It definitely replicates that.
Just shaking and
Shaking,
doing all sorts of
jittery,
stuff.
you start breathing funny,
Right.
and so it kind of hones you in, and I'm sure we'll get into that later, how this kind of translates
Right.
into hunting, but it definitely simulates a real-life hunting situation.
Very cool.
The next day is, golf, but for men. So it's a 3D archery shoot, which, this year in Texas, the Texas course was definitely harder than the Pennsylvania course last year. A lot more, you couldn't use your rangefinder. Some tough shots where the 3D target was risen just a little bit above some tall grass.
Okay, so you could see it, but it was obscured or something?
You could see it, but you really had a hard time, glassing in the heart
Right.
shot.
Gotcha. So you're just kind of guessing at that point?
You could move side to side, so you could kind of get an idea, and you're working with a bunch of other guys, other competitors as
Right.
well. You're not with your team during the 3D shoot, but everyone you have a general idea where the heart shot is.
So is there pretty good camaraderie with the competitors? Like, are they saying, "Oh, I shot at that was 37 yards. That's what I shot at," or are they pretty tight-lipped about it?
So it's interesting because last year, when I did the 3D course, I think it was me, Gary O'Donnell, JT Bouchard, and 3 other guys it was all our heat, it was all in one day. So we just went straight from our heat to our 3D shoot. And we all helped each other out. We're all like, yeah, I think that's about 32 yards. Yeah, I think that's about 35 yards.
Right.
None of us really knew where we stood in the standings, and I don't think it would have changed that too much. This year, different.
More competitive.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit more of a competitive, conservative, because how much information you shared
Right,
with everybody. It didn't take away from how awesome the guys were that you were shooting with, but there was a limited amount of information.
It's still a
that was being
competition.
shared.
Everyone
Yeah.
still wants to win.
Yeah, we all knew.
Right.
We all knew we were all really, really close. So, it was a limited amount of information we shared. I think if someone were to ask, they would have said, if I would have said, what do you guys think?
They
About
would
40
maybe
yards?
a little hesitant, but they would have said,
Yeah,
that's probably about right.
Or they could have just completely dicked me.
No, that's 65. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
it definitely wasn't 30. That was 70 yards. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what you're ranging out there. You're way off. So that's the second day. And how many targets are you shooting at the second day?
20 total.
Okay.
20 total.
And then max score on that?
100.
100.
So, yeah, all hard shots. So whether it be on the challenge course, mountain course, or the 3D course, all the hard shots counted as 5 points.
Okay.
All the long shots counted as 3 points. And anything in the body counted as 1. A miss was...
As long as you hit it, you got a point.
As long as you hit it, you're good. If you missed during the challenge or mountain course, you had 20 burpees to do.
Gotcha.
Which my teammate, #dad, on his first shot in his first train to hunt.
Yeah. Welcome to Train to Hunt.
Yeah, it was and we got it on video.
That's good.
Yeah, but on the 3D course, no burpees. Because I missed one 3D target.
Right.
That was a very sinking feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So how tight was the competition on the first day versus the second day?
So, very. I think overall, it stayed within 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Between first, second, and I think third was it was myself, Jason Munns, and Josh McDaniel. And Josh McDaniel actually was over 40. He was technically in the Masters. He was a Masters Division age, but decided he wasn't ready for the junkyard yet.
Right.
So he dropped down into the
Overall, or the open.
Yeah, in the open. I mean, that guy's a legend. He really an awesome guy. Both those guys were really, really awesome guys to hang out with during that whole thing. But yeah, I think I forget how close it was between first and third. Yeah, I think it was just over a minute, maybe a little less than a minute.
And how long does it take total? The first day?
The challenge course itself.
Yeah.
Ended up being less than 30 minutes. I think we have the three of us.
But that even still, I mean, a minute out of 30 minutes is still pretty tight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty close competition.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like it was a 5-minute gap.
No. There was definitely no multiple minute gaps.
Right.
It was very, very tight.
And then there's no time on the 3D course. It's strictly shooting. You can kind of take your time and take your best shot.
Yeah. But there are a couple different time shots, deliberately timed shots. So there are 2 shots in 12 seconds.
Okay.
There's one shot. One you have to hold for 30 seconds and shoot, and then there's a shot you have to make in 5 seconds. So as soon as you raise your bow up off your leg to draw back, you're being timed. Which this year, when I was training, I was shooting a lot of trad bow, and that definitely
good
helped.
Experience for that.
On every single time shot, especially the quick ones, I hit perfect scores.
Wow.
Not just the 10 ring, I hit the 12 ring.
Wow.
But you didn't need to hit the 12 ring.
Right, but you were there.
But I hit them on all of them, and that had, I would guarantee that had everything to do with shooting trad, because you're just focusing on the target.
Right, just instinctual shooting.
Yeah.
Not ranging in or anything.
Yep.
That's cool. So how did it come down points-wise on the last day?
So overall, Jason, who ended up finishing second, he had the fastest time without any time penalties from shooting. And then I had the second fastest. However, I shot better.
Gotcha.
I only had 2 long shots. The rest were heart shots.
Okay.
So I was in first going into day 2. Day 2 was crazy because at any point in time, it was either myself, Jason, or Josh who were in first place, and
depending on how the shots were going.
Yeah, and I had a comfy lead. But that went away real quick. When I missed one of the no range shots, I was sweating for a little while.
Complete miss?
A complete miss, yeah. I shot straight under the belly. And truth be told, there was another no range shot that, had it not been a target that was laying down, I probably missed that shot too, and I would have lost it. But
it went low, but it hit.
It hit the leg.
Gotcha.
And honestly, if you look at the scores. And if you look at, I don't think that the scores are available for each individual target.
Right.
But the last shot, I think Jason hit a 3 and I hit a heart.
Oh wow.
And there was a difference of 30 seconds, so there's those 2 points that put me
over the edge there.
Kept me in first place. So I just eked by. I mean, that guy he won 2017 in Wisconsin, so he was no stranger to the podium.
Right.
And I think he took first or second in one of the indoor events too. So
that sounds like some rugged competition.
Oh yeah. He was definitely I knew he was going. Brian Austin, who was one of the directors, had told me he was coming, so I knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah. Not a walk in the park.
No, definitely not.
So you've done 3 of these now. I understand there's a nationals competition for Train to Hunt.
There is. Any
desire to do that?
A lot of desire to do it, but it is my daughter's birthday and wife's birthday weekend.
Priorities.
So I'll and there's a lot of guys that are like that with Train to Hunt, where it's like they're die hard, but if it comes to a family event, that comes
first.
That takes top priority.
Right.
So
maybe you can shoot in the backyard at the party or something.
Yeah, I'll probably shoot. Do a Train to Hunt simulation during the middle of the party.
Do like a simulator and then see your time and see if you would have won or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the big difference between here and there is altitude, because that's out in Powderhorn, Colorado.
Yeah.
So here it's you're not dealing with altitude there. That's the equalizer. I mean, the guys out west are beasts because they.
Well, I can't even imagine. I mean, I've been to Colorado twice, and only one of those times did I do any sort of hiking or anything at altitude.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm in decent shape, and not great shape, but decent shape. And even just doing stairs out there at Pikes Peak area, I made it up like 100 stairs, and I was like, I have a severe asthma-like feeling right now.
I know. It's
unbelievable.
It's certainly something it weighs on my mind, because I'm like, eventually I'll be able to go to nationals, and it's like I'm gonna have to deal with that altitude somehow. And you can't emulate that.
I mean, I guess you could wear one of those elevation masks or something, but I can't imagine that it really does it.
It's not even recommended to do that. You just,
really?
I mean, you can build some like lung lung strength, but it's just the oxygenation. It's, I mean, there's the oxygen, the air is thinner, there's less oxygen. You know, you just
I'll have to come up with some training regimen for you to...
Well, no, I work in a pharmacy, so I can get Procrit pretty easily.
What
So
does that do?
that's the stuff Lance Armstrong would use.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so all those guys...
They don't test for anything yet.
No, they don't test.
Perfect.
So I'm good to go. So Charlie and Trevor better watch out, because
Yeah.
I have Epogen at my disposal.
It's going to be a souped up version of Kyle Moore, trained to hunt athlete.
Yeah.
Right. So, any other fitness/hunting type competitions coming up for you?
So last year, Red Bull put on what was called the Archer's Paradox, and this was at a ski hill, Devil's Head Resort in Wisconsin. And I mean, I've been asking on Facebook and writing to Red Bull and just asking, like, are you guys going to have it again this year? Because last year, I missed a target last year. It seems to be kind of a theme of mine. And I mean, honestly, I know I would have finished really well, but I mean, that miss, I had to do a penalty lap, and
Such a big.
I didn't advance. But this year, I'm really hoping to have it, just because I kind of want to redeem myself with that one, and I want to see all the guys from Wisconsin. All the train to hunt guys from Wisconsin most of them will do that as well. Yeah, so it's always good seeing all those guys too.
Yeah, that sounds sweet. And as you can see by my Red Bull racing flag, I'm a big fan of everything that they put on.
Oh yeah,
most of the time.
It's no joke. If you want, there were no divisions. There were no male, female, or anything. It was just, you honestly, you didn't even have to hit like a 10 ring or anything like that. You just had to be on target. So me missing was just like, how much easier could it have been?
Right.
And it was only like a 25-yard shot.
Right.
But I rushed it. I got comfortable knowing that I just needed to put it on target and run. But I rushed the shot, and I paid for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the prizes were no joke. It was first, second, third. You won a Matthews Triax.
Wow.
Yeah.
For all three positions?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because
I mean, that's a pretty hefty price tag on one of those, and that's a great price.
And it's pretty interesting though, because I'm friends with the guys who finished second and third, and they both sold those Triaxes and bought Prime CT5s.
Oh really? That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
I'm kind of between that and the Athens Ridge, either 32 or 34 right now.
Yeah, I go 34.
Yeah. I actually just reached out to them yesterday about that, trying to get some more information. It's hard to find those around here.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, like especially where we live.
Right.
Like trying to get to a dealer who will let you shoot.
Right.
Because there's a Hoyt dealer near us that doesn't really let you shoot their bows. So it's
really?
It's like, how do you?
Right.
But that's why I shoot Matthews anyway, which is a Train to Hunt sponsor.
Yeah, I've been looking at that Prime. I went down to a place. I can't remember what town it is now. Shorewood, yeah. Then they let me try out the couple bows out there, and the Prime seemed to be my favorite, but there's still a lot more out there that I need to shoot before I make my final decision.
I do wish I would have shot more when I bought mine.
Yeah.
My dad went around shooting all different kinds of bows, and he kind of directed me the right direction. And definitely, now I'm finally dialed in with this bow, but it took a long time.
Right.
Halon. So.
Yeah, my dad always shot Hoyt, and I have his old Hoyt now, and it shoots great. I mean, it's a great testament to the longevity and craftsmanship and quality of that.
Yeah.
But they're just a little expensive, I think.
They're very expensive.
Running that past my accountant/wife would, I don't know how well that would go over, but
it's not going to go over well.
Yeah.
That's where you have to sneak it in the house in your old bow case.
Right. Well, that's what Athens is cool, because they have Klarna, I think it's called, which you can pay like $65 a month or something.
Oh, like payment program?
Yeah.
Nice.
No interest.
I thought you were going to say they have a program where you send them your bow case
and they swap it back.
They send it back with your new bow in it.
I think I might have mentioned this on another episode, but the gun shop and range that I used to go to in Virginia, they would, if you would pay them $5 extra, they would write on the receipt, on an extra receipt, what you told your wife you paid for the gun would be. Which is a great service. That is. I mean, obviously, it was completely off the record for their books, and it wasn't the price. But if you said, "Yeah, hon, it wasn't a $1,000 gun; it was a $500 gun," yep, $500 right there.
More stores need to do that.
Yeah, I know, right? Luckily, I never had to do that because my wife is wonderful. and she would never worry about any of that.
Yeah.
Just in case she's going to be listening to this one.
Yeah. My wife doesn't listen. But she wouldn't. I mean,
Right.
well, now it's different. When I got my boat, it was because I dry fired my other one and had an absolute breakdown. I think she was worried about my mental health.
Yeah, and she's like,
It was bad news. I think I cried.
all right, so Train the Hunt's over. Maybe you have the Red Bull thing coming up if they announce that, which I think I'm going to try to do that with you if that's available. Kind of get my feet wet into that whole thing. Do you think it's preparing you better for actual hunting, or is it more of a glorified fitness competition with no real relevance?
I mean, anybody who trains for it and does it, I think is more prepared for hunting season. You'll be able to go a little bit further. You'll be able to pack in. For us, you'd be able to pack in your tree stand a lot easier. You'll be able to put up a tree stand by yourself without having a buddy have to help you, because you've built up that strength and that ability to you can climb the tree, you can pull everything up on your own. You don't need to ask someone to come help you anymore. Little things like that. So regardless of whether you finish first or last,
what they really need to do is have an event where you have to drag a 150-pound animal out of like the woods somewhere, or something like that.
There were jokes going on about that, but a couple years back they had like a tire drag. But I think
that would be a great simulation, right?
Yeah, for all the Eastern guys. I mean, there's definitely like East and West. There's way more Western events, but there's a few Eastern events, and that's where Brian Austin, I think, is he's the guy over the Eastern events.
Yeah.
And at some point, he's pretty creative. So at some point in time, there's going to be like a whitetail edition,
right?
Where it's you got to drag a deer out, and
that's what it's going to be, because I mean, I know we mentioned before, like the place where we might be hunting in public land, to get to the spot that I found that I like, it's 2 miles in basically.
Yeah, and you're packing, and neither of us have an ATV, so you're packing that thing out.
So you're walking and carrying pack in, which is going to have some weight, and then you're going to have to walk out with the pack because you can't leave it overnight there. Hopefully with an animal.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a long haul.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that would be. It definitely would be. It'd be advantageous to do an event like Train to Hunt to be prepared for that.
Right.
I mean, if you're one of these guys that goes out with the ATV and everything, you can get by, but it still makes it just makes it easier when you're in better shape.
Everything's just easier when you're in better shape.
It really is. It really is, and it transfers over to everything in life, not just hunting season.
Right. So have you been training for all this?
It's evolved considerably. I was thinking about like the difference between Train to Hunt last year and Train to Hunt this year. Last year, I would do, I'd throw the pack on, I'd do the stair climber, I'd do the pack out runs and whatnot. But the biggest difference was the over the box exercises, which is the main part of the challenge course. So last year when I would do it, I'd lift weights and everything. Then during my ab routine is when I would do some over the box stuff. Maybe I'd do 4 sets of just over the
up and down,
or just box overs. One day I would do get ups. One day I would do ground to shoulders, whatever the case may be. And I did fine. That year I finished second. Right. So I definitely I had I trained enough for it. This year, 2 things that really made a huge difference. The indoor that they held, that is all those exercises. Instead of any pack out run, you're going to be doing those exercises round after round after round. And ultimately, I think it was 6 rounds.
Oh wow!
That the men's open had to do every round because of how many people there were.
Right.
So I ended up having to do every single round. So I was just training like it was the competition. So I did the legitimate competition where I was going over the box with every single exercise with that amount of weight. I was shooting in between. So I was basically doing that competition every 3rd day or so. After that ended and I was getting ready for the outdoor, it was every other day was a Train to Hunt simulation, at the very least over the boxes, with the runs included. Not the runs, but with the jag in between.
Right.
Not always with the pack out, the pack mountain course run, but it got to the point where it's like there was you're working out, but it was like practice. So you're practicing your movement. You're minimizing the amount of needless movements.
Right. Which is huge.
It is. Every little second counts.
Which in my Colty CrossFit days, that was huge. You could tell the difference between someone that knew like that one little tidbit of information that made the movement more efficient, and the time, and they didn't have to be stronger or in better conditioning or condition shape, but if they knew that one thing, like how to do that pull-up just like a little bit faster or something like that, then it killed everything else.
Exactly. Like going over the box, if you're someone who goes over the box forward, then turns around and goes back over,
that turn is wasting time.
That turn is wasting time, so you got to go over the box side to side, but you got to practice that because that requires a little bit more strength. So you're just going over
laterally each time. Right.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't know that maybe the first time.
Nope. Yeah. I did it. I was going forward over forward. I was just, where my strong suit is running, so I got a nice long stride, so I can get ahead of people pretty quickly on the run, and it was the same thing this year, but just being faster on the box too just really put it ahead.
Right. So. Yeah, we're gonna have to get out west and see, what kind of shape we're in.
I know.
Versus now, and see what the altitude does and what all that training you've been doing, how that relates to climbing mountains and stuff like that, because I can't imagine what that's like with the altitude and just the constant walking up and down the mountains and things like that.
I'd like to believe it helps. But
you would hope, right?
Yeah, at least a little bit. If your body's not used to that low oxygen at the very least, then you're in shape enough to deal with it.
Right. So do you think it's overall a good thing for hunting? Do you think it's bringing more people into hunting? Like, have you talked to anyone that maybe wasn't a hunter that is doing this and is going to get into hunting? Or is it all people that have been hunting and then also like to work out and live that kind of fitness lifestyle that are doing this sort of thing?
I think most people have come from that, they're living that hunter athlete lifestyle, the Cam Hanes and, kind of influence, Eric Cheshire, all those guys. There was at least one guy at this event that doesn't hunt. He just got a bow like a month before the event.
Oh, really?
And signed up for the event and did it.
I just want to try this.
Yeah, and there's a dude in Wisconsin. He's 66 years old. Got his first bow like a couple weeks ago, shooting a recurve bow.
Wow.
At the Wisconsin event, which is at the end of June. And he's got a really cool story. So I would check that out on Train to Hunt's Facebook page. His whole story. I believe he's a cancer survivor.
Wow.
So, some people are just looking for that challenge, and, it's, I guess, I always think about this about myself, where I train for this more than I hunt. And I guess in the interest of full transparency, and basically is I don't always have the same amount of time, the amount of time to get out every weekend and hunt. However, training for this and doing these events has made it so that my fitness is not in question when I do get to go out.
And I'm sure it kind of scratches the itch a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not since you're not getting out to the woods, 4 or 6 hours a day on the weekends. You can shoot the bow and do training, and it kind of simulates that a little bit.
It makes it more fun.
Right.
It's gotten to the point for me, like getting up and going to work out and doing these things. It's just fun. Like it's not oh my god, I got to train today. It's like I get up and I get to train. Like it's just like I'm ready to go.
Right. So. And you've had some pretty cool prizes and medals and things out of these.
Yeah.
Can you go through what you've brought home over the last couple of years?
There's been a lot of sponsors that they've supported Train to Hunt for quite some time. This year, I'm not sure. When Brian Austin came on, it seemed like there was quite a bit more swag to come home with. So Vortex Optics was a huge one. In 2 different events, I've won 2 sets of pretty sweet binos. The last one I won first overall, so I won Viper HDs.
Right.
Which are
those are pretty cool looking.
Awesome. They are awesome. A bunch of kudu point broadheads. So I finally got my kudu points. A bunch of hats. Every hunter loves a bunch of Richardson hats. So a bunch of those. Wapiti wear. I won some gear from Wapiti wear. Where else? There was just
We mentioned Matthews was
Matthews was a sponsor.
They gave a sponsor.
Yeah, so the one I had from them, they are sponsoring. They're giving bows away for the national champions.
Okay,
So,
cool.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty sweet. And the cool thing is, like, you don't have to win to be, to get some of that stuff.
Right.
Like, and it's not all about the stuff, but it does make it. It makes it more enjoyable. Like,
Well, you're paying to go into this, I'm assuming, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So even if you're not winning, it still kind of makes it worth your while a little bit.
Yeah, you pay for it, and then, like, we flew down. I mean, we're in Illinois here, and we flew down to Texas, so
Right.
we had to get room and board for 2 days,
And airfare.
airfare. Luckily enough, we had the Southwest visa, so that took care of that. But it's cool when you go down there and, like, when you win, you get some stuff, and then they raffle some stuff off, and then they give some stuff like. The second place winner for the Masters division, he shot trad, and he actually ended up doing most of the burpees. So they gave him a bunch of wilderness athlete supplements.
That's cool. Then you're going to be sore after this. You should probably
you
get
should
some
probably
protein in you or
rest and
something.
recover. Yeah. So they would raffle off some stuff. So
Right.
everyone, honestly, it's like everyone's kind of a winner when anybody who competes in it, you won because
Right.
I mean, you're in better shape than most people. Anybody who considers themselves a hunter athlete and says, "Oh, I don't need to go to those events," well, they don't show up. So
Right.
they're back of the pack at that point because these people put the time in, they put the travel time in,
Right.
and the dedication to come and run these things. So, like, someone like, not to badmouth people like Cam Hanes or anybody like that, because they're kind of a lose-lose situation, but those guys don't show up to do it.
Right.
Other, like, famous, famous or insta-famous athletes like Ben Greenfield, he shows up to the Idaho one. He won this year. There's some, I mean, and obviously Charlie Pappas and, Trevor, they're pretty big in the hunter athlete world. And you're going up against guys like that. So if you do well or comparable to those people, like, that's a huge confidence boost.
Yeah, I'm sure. How long has this been around for?
I think about 10 years.
And are there any other ones? I know you mentioned the Red Bull one. There's Train to Hunt.
So Red Bull has had 2 different Archers Paradoxes. They were, like, separated by about 4 years. So I would imagine probably won't have one this year. They'll have it in a couple of years. There's the Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge out in Colorado. So that's set up a little differently. I don't think that there's a long pack out run.
Right.
But you're doing most of those similar to that indoor that I was describing, where you're going to have a pack on. And there's some routines that you got to do in between shots.
Yeah.
And then there's the clay for a bonus or whatnot. And then Extreme Outfitters out in North Carolina, which they're putting on their first event
Oh, cool.
this year. And Allie Mae, who's a
Is
friend
that
of
Western North Carolina? Do you know? That's where my family. Most of my family's from there. That's why I asked.
the name of the city is skipping my mind right now. But we can put it up definitely in the show notes.
I imagine it is. You got the Appalachian Mountains right there. Probably,
Yeah. It's
lends itself to be a little bit more difficult.
It's Extreme Outfitters. Wherever they're located, they have some land that they're able to hold this on. But Allie Mae is one of the competitors from Train to Hunt, and she's part of that Extreme Outfitters, either their club or she does. She just does a lot of work with them, and so it looks like she had a good amount of influence in getting them to put on an event this year, which was really cool, especially since one of the Train to Hunt, 2 of the Train to Hunt events out east got canceled.
Right. Yeah, that's a shame. It would be nice to have kind of an eastern version and see what that would be like.
Yeah. I think the joke was, outside of just the deer one, was, as you're on the mountain course, you run up against like an angry soccer mom in a minivan, like telling you can't hunt there.
Or you could do a waterfowl one where you have to hop in a boat and paddle your way out to some blind and back again or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yep.
But it's a great way for people, especially in the off season of hunting, to have something to do.
Yeah.
That's similar to that feeling, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's people. I mean, there's people who do it like, when hunting season's over, they'll start training for it and doing it. And the people. I think the people who are competitive probably train all year round. I do. I'm sure all those guys who are winning nationals over and over and over again, they probably train more than me, which is crazy, but they do. So
Right.
That and they're just gifted.
Just have the ability.
Yeah, they just have that
Genetic ability or
yeah,
something.
they're just freaks.
Right. well, you came home. You won first, which is awesome. So you got a first, a second, and how did you do the first one?
Second.
What was the? All right, so you had 2 seconds then, because you had an indoor one too, right?
So I had a second in Pennsylvania, which was outdoor. I had a second in the indoor, and then at this event, so it was actually they changed the format a little bit with regard to the teams. So it used to be you either competed as an individual or as a team. Now you all competed as an individual, but you have your team, so you add your scores together.
So the aggregate.
So the best 2 scores out of 3 would be your scores for both the challenge course on Saturday and then the 3D course. So me, Gary, and my dad were on a team. We called my dad the Mulligan. So
how did he like it?
he loved it. He loved it.
That was his first one, right?
As his first one, he decided to do it when he saw me at the indoor one.
How old is he?
He is 63 years old. So he was in the
So he's not a young buck anymore.
He's not a young buck, but he finished the course. It was awesome being on the finish line when he was standing on the finish line waiting for him. And we were in the same heat because your team competes in the same heat.
Right.
So we were doing our box overs together.
That's cool.
So sorry, Dad, I blew you out. I blew him out of the water. But I mean, that's if I didn't, then that'd be a major problem.
Right.
But the way the teams set up was really cool because you can compete as an individual and then compete as a team. So I ended up finishing first in the men's open, first overall, and then our team finished first for the team division. So.
And all compound bows. Some guys do recurve.
Some guys do. There's some trad guys. There weren't too many trad guys there. There used to be a trad division, and this year they ousted the trad division.
Just weren't getting enough people.
They had their reasons. The biggest reason that Kenton and Brian have said is there's guys who've been shooting trad for a very long time and can shoot just as efficiently with the trad as you can the compound. So their distances are all halved. Gotcha. So if we're shooting at 30 for the challenge course, they're shooting at 15. On the 3D course, their targets, their shooting stake was moved up.
Gotcha.
A little bit. So that makes it fair.
Right.
There's people who don't like it. I mean, frankly, for me, it's like, just tell me the rules and it's what I'm going to do. I don't have the voice or the pull to say, no, you're going to change the rules. So I just do it. But next year, the plan right now is next year to do this trad.
Okay. Just extra challenge?
Yeah, well...
Or just something different?
I'm one of these people, not saying in no way to be cocky, but I had a goal, honestly, the first year that I didn't hit. I wanted to win first place the first year, and I wanted to go to nationals.
Yeah.
Because you had to finish on the podium that year to go to nationals. I finished on the podium. I couldn't go to nationals. My daughter was being born that same weekend, so
she's causing all sorts of problems for you here.
She is.
Nationals.
She is. She is. But it's totally worth it. But then, so when I was training for the indoor, I was like, I am tired of finishing second place because I've done other events. The triathlon, Chicago Triathlon, I finished third in my division. I was just tired of being a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
So
I want that white dress.
Yeah, I wanted the white dress, and in that one, I had to dig deep and come back from way behind to dig up to second. And honestly, if I didn't miss that last shot, I may have gotten close to Brock. I don't know if I would have finished first, but it was second, which is it was awesome. It doesn't take away from the experience. Training for this event, I was like, there is no other fucking option
than just winning.
Than winning everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will not train like it's okay to finish second or third.
Right.
If there's a weakness, that's what I'm going to hammer on. If there's something I don't want to do because it's not something that's comfortable, that's what I was going to do that day in the gym. So I went in there with one goal. I went very calm. And just
so how are we going to translate that over to actual hunting? I mean, what don't you like to do in hunting? Do you not like to scout? Do you not like to, get out there early season? Do you not like the cold? Anything like that?
I don't think there's a single thing that I don't like about hunting. So I don't even know if there's a...
Have no weak point?
I have plenty of week
All right,
points.
well, what's that?
So it's scouting is definitely
Okay.
like that's where it,
Just because of time?
yeah, and not to blame time. I mean, I can't say that I don't have the time. Everyone has the same amount of time. However, my priorities are just in different areas. So shifting some of those micro priorities around a little bit so that I can get out there at least once
Right.
to know. I guess the goal, it's baby steps. So you don't always want to change things huge. At least know where I'm going,
Right.
where I'm going to walk out to every morning. So, and know that I
So
can
you're
do
just
it.
aimlessly bumbling through.
Yeah, instead of
at
aimlessly
5:30 in the
bumbling
morning.
through with the headlamp on, scaring everything off, I want to be able to know exactly where I'm going, turn the headlamp off, and make it automatic.
Right.
And, so like that's that baby step. Next year, scout a little bit more. Next year, put some cameras up, not in Illinois, obviously, but out in Kentucky. There's some areas.
Are we not allowed to do that here?
I don't think so. You can't hang any. It's Illinois, so if it seems like you want to, if you
Well-
want to do it, you probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
So because you definitely.
I don't have cameras, so I haven't looked into that yet. I was just kind of gonna go. I mean, I've been scouting. I kind of know where I want to be.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Found a
Looking
couple
for
spots that you and I might be able to set up in.
Yeah.
And have sat there for a few hours and seen some good signs and things, but haven't looked into the camera rigs yet.
Yeah. I think,
Which, if anyone knows, feel free to let us know, because that would be pretty helpful.
yeah, that would be huge.
Because I was thinking about doing that, but if we can't do it, then they'll save
Yeah.
a couple bucks.
Exactly. Save you
know.
about $50 or so.
Right. But yeah, I think that's a good piece of advice. Work on the weaknesses. Do things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, you definitely have to do things. You just learn to love the things that make you uncomfortable. Like I did not like get ups, and now it's just like that's probably my strongest.
Yeah.
Or the box type thing. I mean, yeah, you just have to be honest with yourself too. Like
What you're good at and not good at.
what you're good and what you're not good at. But also, like when you go to the gym, shooting is it's shooting too. So you can shoot, and you shoot a group where your group is outside of pie plate or maybe a pie plate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're shooting with a compound and you're at a pie plate at 30 yards, to be competitive in something like this, you have to be like within
Like a teacup dish.
like a teacup dish. Yeah, you should be, and under pressure.
Right.
So you can't just go out and say, or shoot that teacup dish just casually and say, "Oh, I'm good to go."
Right.
Don't lie to yourself that that you are signing up for an athletic event.
Right.
That you're going to be under a high amount of stress, high heart rate. You're going to have to learn how to lower your heart rate, and then make that shot.
Right.
Same thing with the gym. Like if you go to the gym and you're like, okay, so I'm doing the bicep curls at 40 pounds, say. If you know you can do more, just do more.
Right.
And it's that overtraining or overspeed type thing. Because then when it comes to the competition, if you're wanting to compete for all those those great prizes and kind of for
the recognition and
for
everything.
Yeah, for things like that, like that's what you have to do.
Right.
So.
Well, I'd like to thank you for kind of explaining all that. It sounds like an awesome event.
It is.
Gonna try to get my feet wet with the Red Bull one if that comes around. See how that goes.
If not, you're jumping right into it would be the indoor would be the next
indoor would be the next one, which sounds better to me because I hate running.
Yeah.
So I imagine the indoor one is less running than the outdoor one, which sounds great to me actually. So yeah.
The king of the indoor.
So that could maybe that's my niche.
Yeah.
Is the indoor thing. But yeah, I think that's great advice for people. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Always be learning. Work on your weak points, and hopefully we have you win the next one too.
Be great. Be great.
Well, thanks for sharing, and thanks Train to Hunt for putting that on and sending Kyle home with a bunch of great swag.
Yeah, thanks. Special thanks to Brian Austin, Kenton Claremont for putting those on. All the volunteers at the different sites, because those guys all do it unpaid on a weekend that they could be they could be out hunting, they could be out scouting, they could be out doing something else, but they dedicate their time and volunteer to keep score and whatnot. And then obviously a huge thanks to all the sponsors that put those on too. It's a lot of money, that's a lot of time, and the return on investment isn't always the greatest. So if you go on the Train to Hunt website and you see those sponsors, guys check them out because those guys they invest a lot of money into training hunting athletes. So they're definitely they're number one in my book.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good place to sign off, and make sure that you like, subscribe, share with your friends, tell everyone about us. We'd love to, get out there a little bit more. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.